Once again, pay attention to the right side of the runway. For one of Virtual Commemorative Air Force's most iconic aircraft, that's passion is carried on to this day. The reason we say that some may know, some may not, but about 4 years ago, the amazing B-17G Texas Raiders had a mid-air collision over Dallas. She'd collided with a P-63 King Cobra and was split in half and fell and exploded on impact with the ground. 6 people were killed in the crash. Thousands of people watched in terror as both aircrafts had collided midair. But let's get into it and talk about a little more. On November 12th, 2022, 2 World War II era aircraft, a B-17 Flying Fortress and a Bell P-63 King Cobra, collided mid-air and crashed during the Wings over Dallas airshow at Dallas Executive Airport in Dallas, Texas. The airshow, which coincided with Veterans Day commemorations, was organized by the Commemorative Air Force. Just before the crash, the air boss directed the bomber formation to fly parallel to the spectator viewing line, while the fighters were instructed to enter a trail formation and fly in front of the bombers. According to witnesses, the P-63F executed a high-speed, descending bank turn into the runway approach, colliding with the B-17 and causing both planes to break apart and burst into flames. The B-17 had a crew of 5, while the P-63 had a single occupant. All 6 died as confirmed by Dallas County Medical Examiner. Both aircraft were destroyed on impact. The National Transportation Safety Board's NTSB preliminary report, released on November 30th, highlighted the absence of altitude deconfliction briefings and revealing that the P-63's GPS navigator failed to record any information during the flight, with the ATC audio released on January 12th, 2023, confirming no altitude advice was provided. The NTSB's final report on the accident in December 2024 concluded that the probable cause of the accident was the air bosses and airshow event organizers' inadequate pre-briefing, relying solely on the air bosses' real-time deconfliction directives and the see and avoid strategy for collisions avoidance, which allowed for the loss of separation between the 2 aircraft. A contributing cause was a lack of FAA guidance and oversight of the air boss at the air shows. The collision occurred at 1:22 p.m. local time at the Dallas Executive Airport during a Wings over Dallas airshow organized by the Commemorative Air Force, a non-profit organization whose goal is to preserve historic aircraft. The airshow, hosted over a commemorative Veterans Day weekend, had drawn more than 4,000 spectators. Both aircraft were typically piloted by highly trained volunteers, in many cases retired professional pilots. Texas Raider was the lead aircraft of 5 bomber formation, and the P-63F was a third aircraft of a 3 fighter formation. ADSB data and recorded radio transmissions reveal that the air boss instructed the bomber formation to follow the 1,000 feet, 300 meter show line, which runs parallel to and it's situated 1,000 feet away from the spectator viewing line. Concurrently, the fighters were directed to adopt a trail formation where wingmen fly below and behind the lead aircraft and advance along the 500-foot show line, positioning themselves in front of the bomber formation. The apparent intent, according to a pilot observing the action from the ground, was to put themselves in front of the bomber. According to the witness accounts, the P-63F was performing a high-speed descending bank turn into the runway approach. It collided with the B-17 on the rear port quarter from above, severing the B-17's fuselage from the point just aft of the wing. Both aircraft broke apart and hit the ground seconds afterward, exploding and erupting into flames. A pilot on the ground who observed the mid-air collision speculated that the P-63F pilot might have mistaken one of the trailing bombers for the leader. This misidentification could have led the pilot to believe he already cleared the bomber formation's flight path. Consequently, he tightened his trajectory and positioned the P-63F's belly towards the bomber line, and inadvertently obscuring his view of the approaching B-17. All 6 crew members on board both aircraft were killed, making it the commemorative Air Force's first fatal accident in 17 years. No injuries or fatalities reported on the ground. The 5 fatalities aboard the B-17 were Terry Michael Barker, Kevin Dimitri K5 Meckles, Daniel Alexander Reagan, Leonard Lloyd Lynn Root, and Curtis James Rowe. Craig Stephen Hutting was identified as the sole occupant and pilot of the single-seat Bell P-63. Terry Barker was a former American Airlines pilot from 1984 to 2020, a former Army helicopter pilot from 1975 to 1978, and a former city council member in Keller, Texas. Craig Hutting, the pilot and fatality aboard the Bell P-63, had started flying solo at the age of 17 and was a former commercial pilot for Rocky Mountain Airways 1982 to 1985 and United Airlines 1985 to 2022. Huttain started flying as a child with his father, a World War II veteran, and was a pilot for the Tora 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 airshow, a reenactment of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Kevin K5 Michaels, the youngest of the deceased, was an active member of the Commemorative Air Force, acting as a historian, media representative, and tour supervisor for the organization. Lynn Root was a retired commercial pilot who had flown for American Airlines from 1986 to 2021. Dan Ragan was a U.S. Navy veteran of the Korean War who served as a radio operator in the 1950s on the naval variant of the B-17, which was designed as the PB-1W. He lived in Dallas and was a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Major Curtis J. Rowe was from Hilliard, Ohio, and was a member of the Ohio Wing Civil Air Patrol since 1988. We'd ask everyone here to give us a moment of silence for the 6 people who died on that day. This pass is an honor to those 6 people and their families. May they rest in peace. Now we'll get to the history before her tragic crash. The plane was built in 1945 under license from Boeing by Douglas Aircraft Corporation at its plant in Long Beach, California. One of the last 20 B-17s built by Douglas, it was delivered to the U.S. Army Air Forces as B-17G-95DL-44-83872 on July 12, 1945. On July 21, 1945, all 20 were transferred to the U.S. Navy to serve as PB-1W patrol bombers. 44-83872 was assigned the U.S. Navy Bureau of Aeronautics number 77235.
Rod girl, whiskey's gonna ease my mind. Beach towel dress on the drying line. Do I remind you of your daddy in his 88 Ford? Labrador hanging out the passenger door. The sand from your hair is blowing in my eyes. Blame it on the beach, grown men don't cry. Do you remember that beat down basement couch? I'd sing you my love songs and you'd tell me about how your mama ran off and pawned her ring. I remember everything. A cold shoulder, a closing time. You were begging me to stay till the sun rose. Strange words come on out of a grown man's mouth when his mind's broke. Pictures in passing time. You only smile like that when you're drinking. I wish I didn't, but I do. Remember every moment on the nights with
you. You're drinking everything to ease your mind. But when the hell are you gonna ease mine? You're like concrete feet in the summer heat. It burns like hell when two souls meet. No, you'll never be the man that you always swore. But I remember you saying it.
Fast forward about 22 years later, the Commemorative Air Force, known as the Confederate Air Force until 2001, acquired the plane in 1967 for $50,000 or $80,000. Sources differ. The plane was kept in Brownwood, Texas, because the Commemorative Air Force's home airfield in Mercedes, Texas, was too short for a B-17. A Commemorative Air Force photo taken around 1969 shows the plane painted white with large U.S. flags on the tail.
A cold shoulder, closing time. You were begging me to stay till the sun rose. Strange words come on out of a grown man's mouth when his mind's broke. Pictures in passing time. You only smile like that when you're drinking. I wish I didn't, but I do. Remember every moment on the nights with you.
cold shoulder, closing time. You were begging me to stay till the sun rose. Strange words come on out of a grown man's mouth when his mind's broke. Pictures in passing time. You only smile like that when you're drinking. I wish I didn't, but I do. Remember every moment on the nights with you. Rod girl, whiskey's gonna ease my mind. Beach towel dress on the drying line. Do I remind you of your daddy in my 88 Ford? Labrador hanging out the passenger door.
Got a fast car, and I want to take it to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a fast car, and I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money.
In July 1970, the plane was given its first historical paint job, that of the 366th Bombardment Squadron of the 305th Bombardment Group. with squadron code KY and call letter D on the fuselage and tail number 124592, suggested by retired General Lee May. In 1974, the Commemorative Air Force assigned the plane to its 3-year-old Gulf Coast wing. The plane was named Texas Raiders around 1973 to honor Texas combat veterans. The name had not been used by any previous B-17.
Won't have to drive too far, just to cross the border and into the city, and you and I can both get jobs, finally see what it means to be living. See, my old man's got a problem. You live with a bottle, that's the way it is. Said his body's too old for working, his body's too young to look like his. So mama went off and left him. She wanted more from life than he could give. I said somebody's gotta take care of him, so I quit school and that's what I did. You got a fast car, is it fast enough so we can fly away? Still gotta make a decision, leave tonight or live or die this way. So I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast it felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You got a fast car, we go cruising, entertain ourselves, still ain't got a job. So I work in the market as a checkout girl. I know things will get better, you'll find work and I'll get promoted, and we'll move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house, live in the suburbs. So I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast it felt like I was drunk.
Over 2 decades, Commemorative Air Force worked to restore the plane to a B-17G configuration. Trade-offs made in consideration of budget including disabling turbochargers and the crew oxygen system. In 1977, the plane was repainted in the color scheme of the 533rd Bombardment Squadron of the 381st Bombardment Group. The livery was inspired by a real B-17G plane, Princess Pat, including squadron code VP with call letter X, but using the actual tail number of Texas Raiders at this time. A ball turret and top turret weren't added, although the interior was not yet restored.
Had a feeling that I belong. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You got a fast car, I got a job that pays all our bills. We stay out drinking late at the bar, see more of your friends than you do your kids. I'd always hope for better, thought maybe together you and me'd find it. I got no plans, I ain't going nowhere. Take your fast car and keep on driving. So I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast it felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You got a fast car, is it fast enough so we can fly away? Still gotta make a decision, leave tonight or live and die this way.
The plane was restored and rebuilt from 1983 to 1986 at a cost of $300,000, equivalent to $947,000 in 2024. This included restoring the interior of the plane to a B-17G configuration, including the addition of period-correct equipment such as a Norton bomb sight, M2 machine guns, non-functional, bomb bay racks, and a chin turret. During 1993 and 1994, the plane was repainted and a corrosion repaired at the cost of about $180,000, equivalent to $391,000 in 2024.
It'll be fine by dusk, but I'm telling you, baby, these things eat at your bones and drive your young mind crazy. But when you place your head between my collar and jaw, I don't know much, but there's no weight at all. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. 'Cause if I say I miss you, I know that you won't. But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun. Something in the orange tells me we're not done. To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I'm poisoning myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. Need to hear you say you've been waiting all night. There's orange dancing in your eyes from bulb light. Your voice only trembles when you try to speak. Take me back to us dancing this wood used to creak. To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home.
The plane later underwent a lengthy and costly wing spar terminal in replacement project started in 2001 due to an FAA Airworthiness Directive 2001-2206 citing corrosion in B-17 wings. Originally estimated to be a 6-month process, the project turned into an 8.5-year effort costing nearly $700,000, equivalent to $1.2 million in 2024.
To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I'll poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. Please turn those headlights around.
Texas Raider returned to flight on October 14, 2009, and was featured at Wings Over Houston that month as a static display. In March 2010, the plane was moved to Tomball Jet Center in David Wayne Hooks Memorial Airport, KDWH, in Tomball, Texas. Texas Raiders rejoined the airshow circuit in 2010, just in time to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the first flight of the B-17. It traveled to the EAA AirAdventure Oshkosh Airshow, where it was featured in Airshow Square.
I know you're worried at night, I won't find my way. And I'm tired of lying to myself just to get through each day. My head says I should have never left, and then my feet will soon lead to my death. I'm starting to question if God's trying to teach me a lesson. I'm starting to wonder if my true colors changed since I left you. I used to shine bright like gold, now I'm all in gold. My colors are darker and cold. I think it's time that I went home. And I don't understand why I always feel dead and alone. Well, I used to shine bright like gold, now I'm all in gold.
I gave up a piece of my heart, then I turned to run. Oh, my head's in the clouds, but I don't feel close to the sun. And the light fades away.
That summer, the plane appeared at Thunder over Michigan as one of the 8 restored B-17s, flying in formation with Yankee Lady, Movie Memphis Belle, 909, Aluminum Overcast, Liberty Bell, Thunderbird, and Sentimental Journey.
My face and the tears fall like rain. And so I turn my words all into faith. Hope it's me that they say. I'm starting to question if God's trying to teach me a lesson. Lord knows I'm starting to wonder if my true colors changed since I left you.
And I used to shine bright like gold, now I'm all in gold.
Well, as our time is cutting short, that'll be the end of Texas Raiders display. I hope her display helped everyone to understand the history behind her and how she brought a lot of people together. Flown by Frances from the Gulf Coast wing, Frances was in love with Texas Raiders and is glad to fly her out here today. Thanks for having us out here today, Team Turbulence. We really appreciate a lot. Once Frances taxis on by, make sure you really let him know how much we're glad to have him here today.
My colors are darker and cold. I think it's time that I went home. If you don't understand why I always feel dead and alone. Well, I used to shine bright like gold, now I'm all in gold. I'm starting to question if God's trying to teach me a lesson.
Lord knows I'm
I'm starting to wonder if my true colors changed since I left you.